Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And welcome back, everybody. It is Tuesday, service day, as we like to say sometimes, over here in my part of the world, which is really just my apartment. But anyhow, Tuesday, Dienstag, as I always keep telling you all, can actually be service. So good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Glad to see everybody chiming in here. Today, I got a special show for you. I know this past week, past 16 days, so to speak, have been filled with news. And to all my British friends and family, I've been thinking about you, and I think the whole world has. For anybody else affected by the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, it'll take us a while to assess what she has done and how important she was, even though some of us know already a little bit. So as we move on, and there's no other way to put it than to say as we move on, I have a special show because I have a European colleague with me today. I would love to say German, but he's a little further down south, so I can't really say German, but we do speak the same language. Anyhow, I bring to you today a good friend of mine, Martin Laschkolnig. Is that correctly pronounced, spoken?
Perfectly.
Oh, say, I always want to mix up the last name. Martin, you and I met at ATL, which I've mentioned a few times on these shows already. And since then, I've been watching even more the things that you do. I love to get people on the show that are leaders. And to me, you're a quiet leader. And what I mean by that is you do a whole lot of stuff, and sometimes you post about it, but a lot of people don't know. So I want to briefly mention, you are the past president of the German Speakers Association. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're the current president of the Global Speakers Federation. You also have, of course, your own business, which is what I really want to talk mostly about. And that is the Institute for the Development of Potential, which is located in Austria. So that's a mouthful. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely correct.
Just talk about yourself a little bit so people get to know you a little bit. Anything goes.
I'm a dad. I have two children that I enjoy very much. I'm a wanderer between the worlds, if you will. So I have a degree in economics. I graduated in economics school. And I have a degree in Buddhist philosophy and theory of perception, which I studied in India with Tibetan scholar monks. That was a great, fabulous time, actually. I was very young back then, totally naive. I had no clue about anything. Showed up at the airport for my first flight to India with like 60 kilograms of luggage, 120 pounds, and actually there were only like 45 allowed. Ouch. But then there was a very nice girl at the counter, and these were still the old days when you know what, you had this written paper slips, and so
Right. I love those.
I
Yes.
put my suitcase on the scale, and she said, "Oh, 84 pounds. Nah, can't write that. Well, let's say 53." And she wrote that on the slip and passed it off. And then, and before that, she said, "Oh, you've been upgraded. You're flying business class." I looked at her like with great interest and said, "Okay, is that a good thing?" I had no clue of nothing. I mean, I was really, that was, and well, by now I've flown a few times around the globe, I would say, in economy and in business. So yeah, gained a lot more experience on that. So the study there was absolutely fascinating, and it led also to a lot of interesting things. You know that in hindsight, everything makes sense.
In hindsight, yes, but not when you're in it.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. And so the Buddhist studies actually is quite fascinating. Actually, if you look at the original text, like the Tibetans use them, it's actually pretty dry. It's very, very left brain. And I know we don't have that image of Buddhism. We have the Buddhism images. Oh, we're all in serenity, we're all calm, it's all good. Do some meditation. But the philosophy is not that way. And there's a historical reason for that. See, in old India, when once there lots of spiritual masters were like, they're wandering around and pilgrimaging and stuff. So if two met, then one would challenge the other to a discussion on philosophical viewpoints, of course. Not what they had yesterday for dinner, but like, doesn't make sense. But so when one could prove the other one wrong, all of his followers, or hers, usually his at that time, all of his followers had to convert to the belief of the other.
Ooh.
So imagine that, well, what should we take? The Archbishop of Vienna has a discussion with the superintendent of Hamburg, and the superintendent of Hamburg loses. All of Europe is Catholic.
No, we don't lose. We don't lose.
No, you don't lose. No. Okay, then all of Austria would be Protestant.
Okay.
So it had implications.
Yeah.
And by that, then there was a huge Buddhist university for philosophy in Nalanda, and they had 4 gates, and the best people, the brightest and most excellent people, they were the guardians of the doors. For the reason that if a sage or philosopher came along and challenged them, they couldn't say, "Okay, well, hang on a second, I'll go get the boss," but they had to answer his questions. They had to go into the debate. And so you better have somebody bright at the gate, right?
Yeah.
So, and then when you read those texts nowadays, you go like, okay, you told me that already 5 times. Now it's slightly different. There's slight variations, just not to leave any possible loophole where you could go in and prove me wrong. And so that makes it, if you read that today with our Western way of abstraction, then that's a little bit tedious. Highly interesting. It's fascinating. I loved it, but a little bit tedious. So, and then during those times in India, then I was like, oh no, God, my goodness, I need something to inspire me. I need something that brings, like, soul nourishment.
Yeah.
They'll just feel good vibe.
Yeah.
And seemingly that, when you put something out to the universe, then oftentimes life reacts. And so only barely 3 weeks later, I was in a bookstore in New Delhi, and literally a book dropped to my feet. I don't know what happened.
I love that. I love when that happens.
It fell off a display, and so I picked it up and it said "Chicken Soup for the Soul," first volume. Yeah, you know that one, huh?
Yeah.
Many of us do, and it was the first book out of the series that became to have have a billion copies in print. Totally amazing. And I put it up, and it's short stories about people overcoming difficulties, obstacles, being inspired, and sort of like nourishing all the good that is in us. And I read that, and I was like, wow, exactly what the doctor ordered. This is brilliant. And so I took it home, read it all in one go. Heavy emotional damage by over touchiness, right?
Yeah, emotional damage. I get it.
I was like, so to the degree that sometimes later on, when I told a story, then I stand on stage and I would get overwhelmed by my own story. I was like, okay, no, we can't have that. That's not working. The story is for my audience, not for me. But so in that sense, it was a very, very inspiring book. And I thought, okay, well, this Jack Canfield guy, this is amazing. I want to meet him. Huh? Seemingly that output to the universe wasn't that exactly strong because it took 12 years and not 3 years.
But it did work. It did work.
But it did work. It did work. Absolutely. So
Yes.
I met my meanwhile ex-wife in India. She was another fellow student from Poland. And so when we brought her to Austria, when she came to live with me, then she had degrees in English and theory of the methodology of teaching, and that, like, she could do translations Polish English. The demand in a German language speaking country wasn't exactly that high. I'd rather say zero. Yeah. Not at all.
Yeah.
And so we thought, okay, what could you do? And then we found this method to teach English to children by a mother tongue approach, by an immersive approach. And not only that it taught English, but it reinforced the positive things, what children really do well, and encourage them to do more of that. And it was a brilliant methodology. And it's still one of my companies that we run today, and I still run it with her, even though we're divorced. And so this is absolutely brilliant. And it brought us into contact with the International Council for Self-Esteem. Yes, there is such a thing.
Good.
And at the 2005 International Self-Esteem Conference in Liverpool in the UK, one of the keynote speakers was Jack Canfield.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we thought, okay, good. Get this guy that easy, that close. That won't be the case so soon again. So we got a babysitter for our 7-month-old daughter and flew to Liverpool in February. And as to say, the rest is history. And we wanted to bring self-esteem programs to Austrian schools because the experience with American schools had been so amazing. When you implement self-esteem programs in schools, you get 2/3, and this were studies that were done. This is not random numbers. These were studies that were done. 2/3 of less of teen pregnancies, 9/10 less vandalism. The academic achievements went through the roof. Like 64% more graduated high school and went to university, and so on and so on. So the impact is brilliant. Yeah. And so, but then I said to Bob Reason, the president of the council, that, okay, if we're waiting for the Austrian government to give us money for that, maybe we'll wait a little bit longer.
Yeah,
so
a little bit.
But basically, self-esteem, big companies, big schools, where's the difference? If you say what's going on and the rest is following. So that's rather similar. And if we are honest, in big companies, we still have little children. So I said, why don't we put out programs for corporations, and use the money that we make with that for the self-esteem programs in schools?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, that's a good idea, but I'm an education guy. I have no clue about companies. So, but talk to Jack. His programs are way more suitable for companies, and he does way more in the corporate space. So I turned on my heel, went to Jack. Jack, here's an idea. Blah, 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 blah. I told him the story. And then he said the 3 words that will change my life forever. He said, here's the deal. And I thought, if a guy with, at that moment, 120 million books on the market says to a nobody from Austria, here's the deal. So open ears, turn brain on. That could be interesting. And it was. He said, if you come to my 7-day training in Lake Las Vegas, anything you learn there, you can use for that project. I was like, how? Just like that? Or yeah, just like that. And of course, you had to pay the seminar, I had to pay the travel, etc. So a couple $1,000 that went into that. But it was a phenomenal meeting that led to several things happening. At the seminar, I also met a guy who taught me about the tapping, meridian tapping, or in many variations where you tap on acupressure points to release stress from the system.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that later, EFT later. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Keep going with the other story.
I love it. So that was Jack's contribution, where I got to meet Jack, and he was so generous to me. And I said, okay, Jack, okay, listen. The Success Principle had just come out that year, 2005. And I said, you can speak anywhere in the world for the Success Principles, but you can't in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland because you don't speak German. So as a token of my gratitude, let me check, if it's okay for you, let me check with the publisher what I can do to support the launch of the book in the German-speaking market. And he went like, all right, yeah, I have a go at it. So let's see what happens. And so from that emerged, and I became, I joined the advanced training, and I became a member of his Platinum Inner Circle group, was a co-facilitator for his train-the-trainer program, and the first one in Europe to be given the permission to teach the Success Principles in seminars and in keynotes. And that's what started actually my speaking career. And that I became president of the German Speakers Association is also partly Jack's fault. Because he said, if you want to amount to anything as a speaker, you have to join the National Speakers Association. I was like, National Speakers Association is in America. That is very far away. I'm here in Austria. Maybe not. But then I heard in 2005, also that year, the German Speakers Association was founded. And I heard about it and thought, whoa, this is really cool. So I became a member as of the 1st of January 2007. And, in my opinion, there is, if you take the word deserve, then there's a word inside that word. And that's the word serve.
Yep.
So serving comes before deserving.
Yep. And
before you get revenue back, you have to give something. And that has been my belief all my life. I always love to contribute to people, and the speaking family somehow was a little bit my tribe. I really love those folks, and had a great opportunity and great conversations, great learnings from all the conferences and from the colleagues there. And so I volunteered for leadership positions, became president.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second here.
Sure, go ahead.
Because we had Jack honored us at our last event as well. He was part of that, and then we had also some special talks with him. But you make him seem like a very approachable gentleman. The way that you're talking about it sounds like he's really down to earth. And, he let you already talk about the Success Principles and all of that. So is it that he is such an approachable person, or, are we just making up this image of Jack Canfield? Nobody can talk to him?
It's just because I'm so special.
See, that's what I thought. Yes. Okay. You're so special.
Yes. No, nonsense. Absolutely.
I know you're joking. But I think what is so important about what you just said is that you took a step. You approached somebody who was like, wow, image.
Absolutely.
And you just went through it. Were you afraid? I know you also talk about fear. Were you afraid to talk to Jack?
Well, at that moment, at that first initial moment, I was so enthused about bringing self-esteem to Austrian schools that, I gave it a shot. I just went and we met him there, and he was very approachable, but still, somebody can be very approachable and nothing follows from it. Right. So and in that sense, and then I put in some of my own skin into the game.
Yeah.
I spent like $5,000 on attending a seminar, flying to the States, and the hotel bill and everything. So I put skin into the game.
Right.
So this is something that sometimes people meet speakers or experts or celebrities at events and want something from them. Why should they do it? They are approached every day by like 5,000 people. But if you put in some of your own skin into the game. So I went to that seminar. In that seminar, there were like 300 people, but it was over 7 days. So you had some time to ask questions and to approach him, and you already had given him a chunk of money for some compensation for the value that you received. So then usually people are also more approachable.
Right.
So I see that sometimes the people want to get something without building a relationship first.
Yes.
That doesn't work.
True.
That doesn't work, especially if it's somebody who has already some recognition and gets approached by a lot of people. Why would they? Yeah. Some people out of the blue come in and say, okay, I want you to be my mentor.
Yeah.
Right. So what? What's in it for the mentor? Yeah. Unless, okay, I offer mentoring programs, but people pay for that. That's a little bit like a coaching deal. So still we have to go through a phase to see whether we are fit for each other and whether I'm the right person. And I look very carefully whether I'm the right person to actually support that person to get to where they want to go. Because not always the chemistry and the ideals and the values align. And then it is not a good fit. And maybe they're way better off with somebody else.
Right.
But that's something that's paid. And even sometimes you get like the generous advice and help from Jack.
Right.
I paid for the programs, but he gave it to me otherwise for free, and we became actually good friends. And so that's a very, very special relationship that I cherish with that very generous man. He's an absolute great guy. So if you have opportunity to go and see him, and when he's speaking somewhere, please do that. It was a brilliant experience in my life. Even though I don't per se teach the success principles anymore right now. Right. But because sometimes I used to say I'm the least successful success trainer ever to walk the planet.
Well, okay. For that, we'll have to do a show number 2. Let's briefly talk about something else you just said. You sort of like threw it in, but it's like one of my peeve issues right now, and that is that people approach you out of the blue,
right,
without building a relationship, and try to sell you something.
Right.
It's like, you probably even more than I, but I get like social media messages like, you want to connect? Okay. And I'm like, okay, let's connect.
Exactly.
Do my research, do my due diligence, say, okay, it looks kind of interesting. And then I'm like, okay, hi, how you doing? And then the next message I get is like, so I have this, and half of them don't even know what I do. They're trying. How do you feel about that?
Well,
okay.
I do get those. Yes.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. It doesn't work. I mean, it's like quite funny. A speaker friend of mine posted this recently, and that guy approached her that he's sort of retirement agent, financial advisor or something, and texted her. And then he texted her again and saying, hey, didn't you receive my message? And she wrote back, yes, of course I received your message. Can't wait to work with you, because I always love to work with people that I absolutely don't know anything about.
Yes.
A hint of sarcasm in there. Just a tiny thing. Yeah. So, but yes, no, build a relationship, go to the program of people. But I mean, that's not what those people want. This is basically just they're shooting out like 15,000 messages, hoping that one will stick.
Right.
And I don't know who teaches those, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The best way to do business with people always want to do business with friends.
Yeah.
With people they trust. And so build that trust first, and then
Mhm.
then you actually can have a lot of people
Right. Well, it's
providing
just
that.
I find it so fascinating because I love how you just share. I love doing business with people I don't even know. Like sometimes I write back. I'm like, I try to get to know people before I work with them, and then they're like off the planet. But today, a lot of things are a numbers game, and this brings me back to the idea of speaking. Okay,
Mm, right.
because there usually are a number of speakers also in the audience. They're very quiet today, but to get a speaking gig, just as an example, very often you need to put in, how many followers you have, etc., etc.
Right.
And the more followers you have, the better. However, in the in my reality, just because I have 13,000 followers on Twitter, does that really mean that they're all interacting with me and going where I go? What's up with the numbers game? And I think that's why so many people just want to build connections, 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 so that they have the numbers up. How do you
Right.
feel about the numbers, and what is your experience when it comes to
Yeah.
speaking?
I know that obviously when you do an online summit or something like that, uh, you want it to go out to as many people as possible.
Right.
So you're trying to get in speakers who have a big list and have big social media following, and so to get the word out.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, to a degree, uh,
Hmm.
obviously. But then I rather have somebody who has a list of 5,000 and an 80% opening rate, instead of a list of 20,000 and a 10% opening rate,
Hmm.
right? So it's also about the quality and the trust that people bring towards an expert, towards a speaker, and so yeah, I'm
Okay.
and it for me it's also we have a lot of this, especially on social media. This look at me, look at me, look at me stuff, yeah, and instead of uh, again providing quality content,
Hmm.
helping putting stuff out that people actually can help and can benefit from. So I've reduced my social media following or consumption quite a bit, because you know I try to keep my world one that's positive,
Hmm.
not to deny what's happening. Stuff
Right.
is happening, no worries, of course. Yeah?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, are we really needing to participate in every rant that's out there? Uh, what Because the thing is, as soon as you start blaming somebody and nagging and quarreling and like there's this beautiful picture say, okay, the secret to enlightenment is going forth and arguing about on social media. Yeah,
Yep.
that's like yes, of course. Huh? So uh, by blaming others, you are giving your energy and your power away,
Hmm.
and you want to retain your power. You want. I mean, we are both here to make a difference in the world, in the small extent that we can possibly do.
Right.
And so it's not about putting out a lot of stuff that's a negative and resentful and
Hmm.
divisive.
Yeah.
Well, what we want to see is, um, how can we connect? How can we unite? How can we bring each other forward? What is the benefit of my contribution to you? Uh,
Hmm.
and but unfortunately, it's if and here we are back at the issue of self-esteem.
Yes.
Because if you have low self-esteem and you see somebody else excelling in something, you
Yeah.
have to put them down in order not to feel devalidated.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
it is a sign of high self-esteem that you can accept somebody else excelling and actually experiencing joy in seeing it.
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
but for that, you first, if you already get up in the morning and say, okay, well, this is a shitty day and I don't want to be in it and life is miserable and blah, 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 yeah, how empowering will you be?
I know. It's like you bring the energy right with you wherever you go. Thank you. Thank
Exactly.
you. Thank you.
Exactly. exactly. So if you smile at the world, chances are way bigger that it will smile back at you.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you're really lucky and you meet people who smile first. So
Yes.
don't miss that opportunity to smile back. And it's it's so interesting that the larger the city becomes, the more reclusive the people get.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much information, so much, they're so easily overwhelmed with all that's going on that they don't even see. And if I look at somebody, they might want something from me, and I don't want to have that. I'm already busy. I'm already with it in over my head. And but then on the other hand, when you walk through the city with open eyes, and the beautiful connections that I make, not even saying a word to somebody, but you see somebody and the inner smile of recognition, let me call it, lights up, and you see that person and you say, oh yeah, that's another one.
Yeah.
Another person making the world a better place. How beautiful is that?
That is beautiful. And it does happen. I mean, that's a funny thing. It's not a dream, but if you start paying attention, it happens. It's like, while you were talking, I was thinking about, I drop my daughter at school every morning, or, take her halfway or something. And then I usually walk back. And every morning there's this middle-aged gentleman who walks his dog.
Mm.
And I always have to smile when I see the dog, like halfway through. It's like, and now he started smiling back. So it's like, I see the dog, I see him. It's like, okay, I know what time it is. It's like, good morning, and smiling back. The other thing that I have noticed, I know we have to take a break soon, but when it comes to kindness, smiling at other people, you've traveled the world.
Right.
I still have a couple of countries that I'm missing. But as everybody knows, I lived in the US for a while, and there's this image of the US, generally speaking, that everybody is nice and kind and all of that. And then I moved back to Hamburg, and there the images were all arrogant. Okay, so I'm dealing with two images. And I was so surprised when I came back to Hamburg because everybody's so nice. I mean, it's like I'm looking around, and people are like, hello, how you doing? I'm like, okay, what just happened? That was like, I love it. I embrace it. It is completely opposite to when I left. So I've seen, I've been gone a while, but I've seen a transformation. So thinking about the imagery that you gave us and the experience that I still have every day, and doesn't mean there are not some who are not happy-go-lucky, but what country or what place, maybe it's not a country, what place have you been where you would say, this is the place where, I don't know, most people have self-esteem or seem to have the inner peace, or people are just more, I know one of the things you talk about is Gelassenheit. Where do you think that would be?
Yeah.
Where would that be?
Well, that's a difficult question, actually. Where I had some of the most positive experiences was actually in Northern Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I didn't say Northern Germany.
I know you said Northern Europe, so I know, but
but for example,
countries above. But
Denmark was a beautiful country to visit. People are very outgoing, very very open, and I also had very good experience in the Netherlands. My bigger daughter is now studying there, and I love the country. I love the energy of the place. People are, I feel, more open. And I mean, of course, when you go to the US, then sometimes you get this overwhelming friendliness. But to me, that then, for me as a European, I'm not saying that it's not genuine or anything, but it just seems to be a little bit over the top. Yeah. So that's but that is also then cultural awareness.
Right.
Yeah. Because if you go to Asia and you find people are so much more peaceful, no, they are not. It's just a cultural expression of how you go about your daily life, and so I think it very much depends on the individual person.
I would agree. I would agree. And it's funny. I've been thinking about this a lot, obviously,
Yes.
and I don't think it has to do anything with inner peace or anything. I think it's the cultural. I call it the reservedness.
A lot.
Because it's just like
Yeah.
handshaking. I mean, you go to Turkey or France or Spain, and you get kisses left and right on the cheek. Well,
Mm.
in Hamburg, we don't do that. In some Asian countries, you bow instead of shaking hands. So I
Right.
think that that taught reservedness has a lot to do with it again. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I agree.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'm going to take you on a little break. When we come back, I want to dive more into some of the things that you do, the tapping, the what do you mean by
Mm.
potential, all of those things. Okay?
Love,
So we're
love
going to
it.
go on a
Absolute
teeny
pleasure.
tiny break.
Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And we are back. I am back right now with Martin. And since Martin and I have talked so much about Jack Canfield, I just want to do a quick shout out to Jack Canfield. Okay. You may all remember he actually was at one of our events. And then Mo Rock, the CEO and publisher of the Los Angeles Tribune, also did an extra interview with him. Indeed, as Martin was saying, a very generous person with his time, with his insights. And a big lesson that I think we learned from Martin today was if you see somebody, just approach them if you have an idea and let the enthusiasm carry you. Because all that can happen is that they say no. What do you got to lose? Now,
Exactly.
we also talked about inner peace, stress, Buddhist, left, right brain ideas. And we could talk a lot more about all those things that we've talked about in the first half hour. But you mentioned tapping.
Mm.
Uh, as a healer myself, not you, I've studied tapping, but I don't use it as much. Why do you think tapping is such a wonderful tool? Because it is. So why do you love tapping? And I know you've also studied other things such as NLP and so forth, but tapping, what is the special, I don't know, association with that?
I've just had absolutely incredible experiences with it, and it was just fascinating to see how fast things can shift and can change when you do some tapping. So there seems to be a correlation between the mind and the body, and seemingly some stress, or not only seemingly, we all have experienced that stress has actually happened. Stress is something that's really sitting in our bodies. Hang on a second. Oops. Need to see where I went. Oh, here I am. Okay, good. So stress is sitting in our bodies. So when you had a car accident, for example, you just need to think about the accident, or you see the turning where it took place, and all of a sudden you have a knot in your stomach, or the palms go sweaty and all of that. And so there is a body-mind reaction. And when we start tapping on some acupressure points, then we're creating a, in my opinion, a loop between the body and the mind. So we are not only thinking about what's happening and how we could let go of it, but we also integrate, we also add the body into it. So when I tap on this point, this is a meridian for the stomach. And so that knot in my stomach goes away. And then this feedback loop between the mind and the body goes away as well, because the mind thinks about the accident, the body goes like, oh yeah, I totally feel it. Yeah, I have the sweaty palms and all of that. And then through the tapping, seemingly the whole tension drains from the body, drains from the system, and the memory of the car accident becomes just a memory and nothing else. Not anymore you maybe want to say a traumatic experience, but it becomes something that is just a memory, like going shopping yesterday. And I've seen so many things that happened so fast. It was fascinating. Within 1 or 2 sessions, people really let go of stuff that bugged them for decades. And so that's I've made so many positive experiences, and there are more and more studies actually out there.
Right.
The American Psychologist Association has actually accepted tapping as an evidence-based practice for post-traumatic stress disorder. So there were quite some studies done on vets, on war veterans, where they, within a few sessions, they could let go of stress and stuff. Yeah. And I want to hear a story about that. That
yes,
was
please.
Life, when life puts you exactly there where you are needed most. So it was at an NSA convention, and a national speaker, not the NSA that listens, not the one that speaks, not the one that listens. So the National Speakers Association. So we were in Orlando, and we were having some outing there, and so at the last piece of it, I got to know a young lady, and we happened to sit just next to each other. And as it is among speakers, okay, what are you speaking on, and so on and so on. And she told me a little bit about her story, that she was a war veteran, and she had served in Iraq and all of that. And so then the closure of the whole thing was for us to go to a fireworks. And anyone who has any clue about being in a war zone, that banging, noise, and explosions is not a good sign for your subconscious mind. And so life put me just right at that moment next to her, and I said, she was very brave to endure the fireworks. I said, okay, well, I know this little bit of tapping that could maybe relax the system, and so it would be easier for you to be here. And we did that, and it totally changed the situation for her. She totally relaxed, she totally calmed down, and because normally when there was a bang, she was just under the table. And then she was there, and she could stand there and watch the fireworks and not be afraid. And so that was a brilliant way to see how fast it can work. And we had a great connection. We're still connected today via social media, and she's doing great and a fabulous person. But that is so much. It can make such an impact to let go of old stuff, and that's what I call psychological or mental hygiene.
Yeah,
we go brush our teeth every day, and so the same way we need some rituals, some techniques, some stuff that we do, and be it yoga or be it autogenic training or a walk in the park in the forest, whatever it is for you. And I love the energy psychology techniques. I use one that's called tap acupressure technique, TAT. And that is basically you hold some acupressure points in the face and on the back of your head, and you go through a 9-step process of forgiveness and acceptance. And that actually was what led for me to be to come to a place of deep inner peace out of the deepest crisis of my life in just 8 weeks.
Wow.
And so that's some. So I love those things, and I created in German at the moment a membership program called the Living in Serenity Community.
Yes.
What we do basically 3 times a week. Everybody's invited, and if you participate once or twice or 3 times, it's up to you. But regularly we do this TAT process, and it just takes like 10-12 minutes, and you feel much more centered, much calmer, much more in within you and in your inner balance. For me, sometimes it's even better than meditating for an hour, because it brings you right back to center. And this is so. It's such a simple tool. It's such a simple thing, And that is what I call when life goes from effort to automatic to automagic.
Mm.
And don't we all want a little bit more automagic in our life?
Yes, of course.
Exactly.
I
But
love
that-
how you explain
again,
it. Yeah. Go on. You were going to say something else.
it's about this is an inner game. So
Yeah.
again, we before deserving inner peace,
Mm-hmm.
we have to serve it. We have to do something about it. And so it's because it's also it's personal development. It's not a personal just got there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
so it's a process of unfolding. And as we brush our teeth every day, also find something that you do for your mental health, for your psychological hygiene, for your inner balance, for your inner peace every
Right.
day or several times at least.
Yeah. It's interesting because I get the same feeling when I do energy work, like which I do every day, right? But it is like you said, everybody has a different connection, and I learned a couple of TAT and EFTs and all of those. I think one thing that might sometimes hold people back, that your shoulders, you have to do this and this,
Yeah.
that there is this memorization of where to put your fingers. Of course, that's going to become automatic as well, so that shouldn't be a
Right,
stopping point,
exactly.
right?
It shouldn't. But there's a much bigger stopping point.
Mm-hmm.
Shall I tell you what?
Yeah.
It's people want to be right.
Oh,
There's this beautiful question.
always they do always want to be right.
Each and every my coachee gets to hear once or twice or even more often. I ask them, okay, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? I want to be happy, of course. When I ask this in my talks, then I like, who wants to be right? And in the audience, like 3 people go like,
I really want to be right, but okay.
yeah. And when I say, okay, who wants to be happy? Like 95%. Yeah, me, I want to be happy. Let me tell you the truth. Once you want to be right, screw happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you sit in traffic and, oh, that guy cut into my lane in front of me. Oh, this is so rude. How dare they? Stupid idiot. Da, 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 da. Yeah. So the secret is happy means that you're either in a state of love, appreciation, gratitude, or joy. And all of that leads to inner peace. Mm-hmm. Anything else is being right. Whether you are angry or you're frustrated or you're sad or you're anxious or whatever it is, that's all being right. That's all telling the universe, telling life, this shouldn't be this way. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Life doesn't care. It is this way. And Byron Katie once so nicely said, you can argue all you want with life. It's only right in 100% of times.
Truth is truth.
So why would you want to spend energy on something that you know you're going to lose 100% of the time?
Right.
This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But still, we are so conditioned to do that. Also, back to low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
of course.
And it's fear is essentially a defense mode. Mm-hmm. It wants to keep us safe. So when we are, and anger is fear in disguise. Anger is fear with hormones that, okay, I have to break free. I have to defend myself. Yeah? So to come to that place that actually, no, I'm giving up my being right for being happy. That is a conscious decision. And that is a decision that we have to practice again and again and again, just because otherwise it won't be automatic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it won't even be automatic.
I like that a lot. Automatic. I'm going to put that in the chat. Automatic. Yeah.
So, and that's why we need mental hygiene. Because if you encounter a crisis, and let me tell you a secret here, everybody will face crisis at one point or another in time.
Yeah.
Even if you are not right now, and it could be an inner crisis, an outer crisis, a health crisis, a financial crisis, whatever it is. A crisis is life's way to tell us you are off track. You're not where you should be. And crisis is inevitable. as I always say, but suffering is optional.
Yes.
And so if at the smallest hint of a crisis, I go, okay, let me reflect that. What could possibly, where could I be off track? And then you correct your course to be aligned with life again, to be aligned with, I don't know, what do you want to call it? The universe, divine, whatever it is. Whatever it is for you, find that thing that gives you the most comfort, the most space, the most sacredness. And for some, it's Jesus. For others, it's Buddha. For whatever it is, the universe, life itself.
Right.
We have to find that what gives us comfort, what holds us, and what nourishes us, and then to realign with that again and again and again until it becomes automatic.
Yeah. And I love it because I love talking about fear as well. And then, what you just mentioned about not just the fear, but you're pretty much empowering others if you allow this fear to come in instead of staying centered. And that is, it's something that I think we work on in self-development, on ourselves, and sometimes we're fortunate to help others. And it's so important because when we get sidetracked, you've heard me, so I always talk about crossroads. You use the term crisis, but sometimes it can be a little thing, and it's just, for me, it's always a wake-up call. It's like it's a stop sign. That's not bad. A stop sign might mean there's something in the road when you're driving, so then a stop sign is good. So in life, it's the same thing. It's good. It's telling you, whoa, hold on a second, reflect a moment. Exactly. So since you are working with companies on self-esteem, with the Global Speakers Association, your NSA, all those things you do, you're really, like I said before, in many ways, a quiet transformational leader, because you cut back on your social media. You're not out there saying, I do all the time.
Right.
What does, philosophical question, transformation mean to you, and why do you help others and yourself transform?
That's a very good question. I love those. We philosophically we could go on forever, but let me put this very, very briefly. Transformation can be a huge thing, like the transformation of a caterpillar into a butterfly. That's a huge and mighty transformation. But transformation can also be a small thing, just transforming a tiny habit that you have into one that is disempowering you to one that's empowering you. So transformation basically means change. It means turning stuff not necessarily upside down, but at least twisting it a little bit. And our subconscious is sort of like a supertanker. The subconscious habits that we all hold. And don't get me wrong, habits are very useful. Habits are amazing. Or would you like to think every time again you go to the bathroom, which end of the toothbrush is the one that goes in your mouth? Of course not. And we do that automatically. Automatically. I'm so used to automatic by now. So, and also like that we memorize the way to work that we don't even notice anymore that we have driven that. And you've crossed two bridges and you don't even remember having done that. So this is the power of habit. But are all the habits that you are holding onto, are those empowering habits or are they disempowering? And to put those habits on reflection and check them for their worth, and then say, okay, now if I'm just going to transform this one little habit into something that is from disempowering to empowering, to something that brings people down or that lifts people up. That could be just a small thing, and still it's a transformation. So per se, the word transformation is not necessarily positive. It's used in a very positive way. If you're a transformational leader, then it means you empower people to be something better and do something better. But that's not always the case. A transformation could be also, it simply means a change. So if we are changing, let's put it that way, change is always there and it will always be there. But what do we do with it? And that's again a principle that Jack Canfield shared with me, that he learned from his teachers. It's called E plus R equals F, or equal in English, E plus R equals O. So the event plus the response equals the outcome. So if we have 2 plus 2, the result is 4, inevitable. That's the logic of math. So if I want a 5 in the back there, and which is the place of the 2 that I can influence? Is it the event that happened? Well, hello, it already happened. So blaming it or complaining about it doesn't change anything.
Right.
But so it's my reaction to the event. So if I change my reaction, then I get a different outcome. Mm-hmm. And of course, here again, my reaction to the event is something that I have to put effort in. Something that I have to do consciously. I have to reflect and decide on a course of action, and then I implement it and do it and see that the outcome is changing. But there are so many reactions in our life that go automatic, that are subconscious, that are just based on habits. So working on habits is one of the real things that I just want to encourage everyone. Make a ritual out of things. Make a ritual out of things that are healthy for you, that are make you happy. Okay, turn off the TV and go for a walk in the forest, and don't put music in your ears, but just listen to the sound of the forest, or something like that, where you something that lifts you up. Go to take a yoga class, or like even just sit outside in the fresh air and do 5 minutes of breathing. Because as we all know, fear is a shallow breather. And deep breathing already changes something in our state, in our attitude, in our perception of the world. And one last thing, don't believe everything you think. I love this. This is another quote from Byron Katie. But I so love this. We have so many thoughts. Our monkey mind up here is so good in building scenarios and worrying and doing all the stressful things. And, oh no, this will not work out. And we have 25 different scenarios, and none of those is ever going to happen.
Right.
So in my deepest times of crisis, I went like, okay, monkey mind, there's the corner.
Mm-hmm.
You go, chill for an hour. And if you're still busy with this, then after an hour, come back to me and we have a discussion. Mm-hmm. So, and what I always added after that is, okay, monkey mind, you go off. We don't need to find an answer to that right now.
Right.
Because to 99% of all questions, we don't have to have the answer right now. If your child is standing in the middle of a crossroads and a bus is coming, you better move. No doubt. But like 99% of all questions, we don't need to figure out that right hot moment. And then say, okay, monkey mind, you go over there, chill for a moment, or an hour. Let's say an hour. Yeah. And then for myself, I always added, thank you, life, for guiding me. Show me what's my next step. Show me what I need to do. And show it to me in a way that even I understand it.
Yeah.
Well,
don't try to hide it, right? Don't make it a mystery.
Exactly. Better give good instructions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then life can actually come back. And I've seen so many synchronistic things happen to me. Life brought me an opportunity, and I went like, how am I going to do this? I mean, it would be great. So, okay, life, show me how. And within days, sometimes even hours, out of nowhere, out of the blue, without any planning, I get a call, I get a contact, and I say, well, there's this opportunity. Would you like to do this? And it just gave the resources to bring in, or it connected me to the person who knew how, and so on and so on. So allowing more life to lead us, and not thinking of we have to control life. Mm-hmm. Thank you, life, for leading me. Thank you, life, for guiding me, for showing me where I need to be. And how can I bring the best and the most good for the longest possible time to most people? That's my motto since that crisis in 2015. And it has led me to people like you. As absolutely brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. And when you said the monkey brain, I always give the ego a cookie. So a dear friend of mine said that years ago. It's like, give
Right.
the ego a cookie, let them sit in the corner. So, same kind of idea.
Yeah.
But it is, we need to get out of that sometimes, because we have this,
Yeah.
I think Noah puts it so nicely when he says, we've got this skewed image of ourselves. And then we fall into this trap of just consistently questioning. And that's why, the patterns, they are great patterns, they're great behaviors, and then there are those that have this power over you, and you're just stuck. So whether you use TAT, EFT, some of the great questions you've asked, just, I love how you said, let life lead you, because we're holding ourselves back, I think, by trying to rein it in,
Exactly.
All right,
So much.
time's up. Okay, I knew we were going to need a second show. But for right now, I want a quick shout out to Dan. He's always here. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. And yes, don't believe everything you think. Well, absolutely. Martin, before I let you go, where can people reach you? Not all the associations, but where can they reach
Right.
you if you want to talk to you?
Well, just copy my name and paste it in any of the social media channels, and you'll find me. That's if you find a Martin Laschkolnig, it's only one, because there is only one. So that's the benefit of having a last name that even in Germany nobody can pronounce properly. They all get it wrong too at the beginning. So that's the advantage. Or just go to my website, martinlaschkolnig.at, and we have content there in German and in English. But feel free to reach out on social media. Loving to be in connection. Even though I don't look so much, I try to post uplifting and inspirational stuff. So if you feel inclined, follow me, and let's have a conversation about how to make this world a better place.
Yes, absolutely. We will. And I might have to bring you back. But before that, I'll see you in about a month, I think, in person.
I'm looking forward.
Thank you, Martin. I know that I think there's another big event coming up for you at the end of this month that I think that you'll be speaking at. So everybody, reach out to him. If you can't find him, even though it's pretty easy, you can reach out to me, because I sort of know how to find him. But we've also tagged him, of course, in this wonderful show, and there'll be more of it. So everybody, I will see you in 2 weeks. And until then, just using Martin's words, let life lead you.
Please do.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.